So I'm doing also the formal welcome. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here for the second webinar of our wonderful Erasmus Plus project, InsPower, which is standing for Inspiration, Empowerment of Youth and Youth Workers by Coaching, Media, Music, and Cultural Training. And I would like to say again, welcome to today's guest, Başak Pekdiker. Welcome, Başak.
Thank you, Handan.
How are you?
Good, a bit excited, but good. How are you?
I'm really excited as well. And I would like to introduce Başak a bit before starting. Başak graduated in architecture from Mimar Sinan Fine Arts University, and she holds 2 master's degrees from EUAU Venice, one in sustainable architecture and another in building environmental analysis and modeling. For over 12 years, she has worked as a senior design manager in international hotel projects. Also, she is holding the accredited professional title for Lead AP, which is standing for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And she is also the co-founder of an environmental social enterprise, Ambimente. It's a non-profit NGO in Italy. And her work, including the award-winning Ambimap, that we are going to speak through this, which is received both national and international recognition in 2019 and 2020, including acknowledgement during European Environment Week. You understood a bit the concept. She's an architecture. She is really into sustainability and environment. And today we are going to speak about this story, what is the story behind this. And by weaving creativity, sustainability, and social impact together, Başak stands as an inspiring example of someone who has become the architect of her own life. And today, with her, we are going to speak how anyone once can be the architect of their lives. So let me turn the spotlight on you, Başak. And I introduced you from an outsider's perspective. I would like to understand a bit how you define yourself.
Thank you, Handan, for this beautiful presentation of me and for inviting me here. It's a great pleasure being here and part of this beautiful project. I would define myself as quite an idealist. For me, my ideals are quite important, and I'm a bit introvert, even though I usually have the pushing power of trying to change things. Even though it conflicts with my introvertness, I need to do things. I can define myself as a quite sensitive person. I like to observe, I like to listen. Before taking any actions, I want to make sure that all the information is gathered and I have all the analysis done. So before taking action, it usually takes me some time, but then I do things. And I also have a bit of creativity, and I like to have this creative side as a spice in my life.
Okay, you see that I introduced her with like her actions, what she has done, and you gave more information about yourself, how you define your personality actually. So thank you for this wonderful definition of Başak. And Başak, I want to understand, I said that we are going to speak about your story, no? A bit. And looking back, what single experience shaped who you are today and why?
So when I was very little, starting from 5 years on and onwards, I've been to mainly in Southeast Asia because of my dad's work. And that kind of shaped my character in a quite significant way because for 2 points of view. The first one is seeing different people living in entirely different cultures and entirely different environment, houses, the food, the language they speak, and everything. Like seeing that everything is different, but still they are human and there's that human factor in them, and seeing all the common grounds we have among each other throughout the entire world. This is one point. And the other point is, as you know, in Southeast Asia, there are rainforests and it's quite green. It has been something that shaped my sensitivity on the environment after seeing and experiencing how it is to be immersed in nature. And regarding that, especially the moment I was on the airplane and looking down and seeing that vast rainforest without the beginning, without the end, under the airplane, that is a very significant memory of me, the first time seeing the vastness and the monumental side of nature.
Okay, I know that you grow up in a big city. So, I wonder when you said it was a significant moment that when you were looking down from this airplane to the rainforest. And what did you think about modern cities that time? How did you compare in your mind?
I mean, it didn't click at that very moment, but especially going back, and after that you get used to the nature, you go back to a big city, you start to see the cementification, the grayness in the cities and the apartment buildings and everything that is artificial. It of course makes someone, even a little kid, wonder why there's so much difference between the, first of all, two ways of living, and why our cities are built that way. So at that age, I started to wonder why our cities were shaped in this way, and why I had to live in a city without having the choice to live in nature, or as the, I don't know, prehistorical people used to do. But I had to follow the today's rules. I had to be in the cement buildings, in concrete buildings, walk on asphalt, drive cars, and everything. So let's say that seeing all these differences made me want to start to question life, how we are living it as a society. And of course, it made me feel a bit different compared to other kids who didn't maybe have the opportunity to see rainforests, to just give an example. And they were more concentrated on playing, but I was thinking about the cities and our society. So
And the environment.
yeah.
And everything. So we can say it was the start point, this trip for you, for this journey. And I know also that after a while, when you were more grown up, you wrote a poem. I saw this on Facebook. Thank you for sharing with us. And then it's not a happy poem. The name is The Happy World Has Gone, kind
Yes.
of. So so,
So
no, but what I want to ask to you about this, of course, I hope that you are reading it, our participants. And what I want to ask, like, what do you think that little girl who had 11 years old is sending a message to the adulthood with this poem?
So first of all, an 11-year-old that sees the world, the happy world, ceasing and disappearing because the people made inventions, they polluted the world and so on. It's quite sad.
Yes.
And Instead, of course, I would have preferred the world is blooming with flowers, it's so pretty and it's getting better every day. But no, that wasn't my point of view at that age. Um, Probably the message that I wanted to give myself was don't be like the other adults and do something to
And from that,
improve the world.
yeah, from that moment, you were always into the environmental issues of world. Can we say this?
Kind of, yes.
And on this point, I am a bit curious, like when you're a child, you hear a lot the question, what you're going to be in the future, and what they mean is, what are you going to do as your profession? What is going to be your job? And I'm wondering which kind of answer you were giving that time with this awareness and everything that you had.
I mean, I was still a kid, so I remember around that age when I was thinking of what to be in my adult self. And if you ask me this question, probably I would have answered, I want to be a singer because I would be singing with the hairbrush in my hand and so on. Even though, even at that period, I was kind of drawing plans, I was thinking of some neighborhoods or either futuristic or more human scale. Um, so there was this tendency towards architecture. I can see it from my adult perspective as an architect right now. But at that moment, I was a kid and I would have responded, I want to be a singer.
So it was music, and we're going to come to this because also this part of you didn't disappear, no? It stayed
Yeah.
somehow. And
Yes.
so you said that you were drawing plans. I don't know at that age. I don't know anyone drawing plans, houses, neighborhoods, this kind of thing. So also it says a lot of things about your choices in the future. And we spoke a bit about your childhood. I would like to come to the point. And how did you build your life as an architect? I'm wondering other key milestones and conscious choices along the way, because what we spoke here, it's not very conscious. Let's say they are more like interests, they are more like awareness, and they are more like curiosity, questions. But what was the exact moment that consciously you decided to take this road?
So, growing up, um, if I talk about my high school period, I was interested in architecture, I can say that, and I was considering it. But even at that period, I had a kind of personal crisis again about this environment always coming out and always questioning about our society. So in the end, I just didn't want to become an architect because I didn't want to contribute in constructing new buildings, in urbanizing, on occupying lands and doing more concrete. So I just didn't want to accept the idea of becoming an architect, even though inside of me there was this will, let's say. So at that moment, I thought of doing industrial design because it still had creativity in it and design, but I wouldn't need to do any buildings and ruin the environment. At least that's what I thought. Um, and I was aiming for that. I was studying for the university exam in Turkey. There, it's quite difficult to get into the university or the department that you want to study because there's one exam, and based on the percentage or based on your score, you make a list, and based on that list, you can get into your first preference if there is space, or you can get into the fifth or sixth, or you cannot even get into a university. So I was aiming for industrial design in a specific university, which needed quite a high score. But in the university test day, I had kind of a headache, and my test didn't go as well as I wanted. I got out and I cried and everything. And then I said, okay, now I know that I will not be able to get into industrial design with this score, with how I performed during the test. So let's do it. I will go to architecture. And to be honest, my mom, who insisted on me during the year saying, think about also architecture because, you know, it's a good profession. And if something happens and you're not able to go to that university, to that department, you have a B plan. Consider architecture as well. And I was always saying, no, I want to do industrial design. I don't want to build buildings. But when I faced with the truth at that moment, I said, okay, I can also do architecture. And you know what? I don't need to be a normal architect. I can be a different kind of architect. I can combat from inside the system to change things. And my mom that evening closed the doors. She stayed in her room and she was like, you ruined my life for the entire year. And you came to the same point after torturing me the entire year. And from the next day, of course, she was back to normal, but she also needed that moment.
Yeah, but maybe you needed to fix that goal for you to be more motivated at that time. And
Yes,
then it was,
yes,
of course, that there's a B plan. And what you're speaking, actually, the complexity of the choices that we are doing. It's not only pure motivation. No, in a lot of personal development um, things, videos, books, we are always reading a lot about motivation. And if you're motivated enough, you're going to get what you want. It's not always like that because it's complex. There are many things that are impacting your decision. There are many outsider impact also on you. So also it's a good example that you are speaking about this because it's not only, okay, put your goal and do whatever it takes for it, but also in every situation you can change your point of view and you can look from the other side like, okay, I'm going to be an architecture, but not the conventional one. So we can say that we don't have to simply accept the job or career or the situations that we are in somehow, but also we can have impact on them. We can change them from inside.
exactly, exactly. So
So
also in the case of architecture, I can work in, I don't know, in big infrastructure projects or in a commercial mall, in a shopping mall project, or I can work with low carbon footprint materials in a more sustainable building. I can be an architect who can impose her vision on the neighborhood that she's designing. That used to be the case in the past. Now, in the moment that we're living, there is more of a participatory process. So listening to the neighborhood, understanding what are the real needs, what are the real wishes of the people who live in the location, and based on this information, doing a project. So there are many different ways of doing the same thing. And in the end, maybe what we do isn't so important as much as how we do it, how we reflect ourselves in the things that we do.
it's a really good message. It's about how you do. It's not about what you do. I really liked it. Thank you. So you are also speaking a bit the meaning of success can change to people, how you see it. And what about you? How you define success for you?
For me, success is the capability of adaptation, so adapting without sacrificing yourself, your values. Like still being yourself, but knowing how to exist in different conditions as your true self.
Hmm. Okay.
It's
So,
not achieving one goal.
mm,
It's living, because life is a road. It's not a point. It's a path. And what matters is guide, like walking on a path that is aligned with who we are. And that path might change direction based on the conditions, but to understand the conditions and um, to walk through it with your based on your values and who you are.
so it's important to know yourself, what you care about, how you want to
Yes,
live your life, how you want to impact the world on what you do.
exactly, exactly.
Very, very nice. And so I know a bit your story. So sorry if I'm going a bit on this road, but can you tell us another key milestone that how did you move to Italy?
So as I mentioned before, I was thinking of industrial design. And when I got into architecture, I always thought, okay, maybe after architecture, I can still study industrial design, and Italy is the best country to study it. Um, so that's how I started to learn Italian. I did Erasmus during my university. I've been to Genoa. Um, Even though during my studies, I realized that I didn't want to study industrial design, and I wanted to focus on sustainable architecture. So that's how I decided to move to Italy and study on sustainable architecture in Venice. So that's how I ended up in Italy.
So actually you combined your passion with your profession in your master in Italy.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the sustainable architecture was born. And we are going to speak a bit about sustainability and environment, we said, but there are many different definitions of sustainability also. I'm wondering your definition.
Um, so my definition is, it's not about United Nations definition from my point of view. United Nations defines the sustainable development as a development that helps to meet today's needs without compromising the possibility of the future generations to satisfy their needs. I think it's beyond it. Um, uh, it's not about generations, it's about life itself. So I think sustainability is more like being interconnectedly part of life.
Mhm. Like putting yourself inside the nature, not like outside, that nature is there for serving you, no? As
Exactly.
human beings.
It's not a resource, it's part of who we are. We are, there is life, like there's the universe, there's life. We are only part of it, but we are the same thing. So if we want to care for ourselves, we need to care about the nature and the environment and our earth. And once you feel that connection, you become sustainable.
It is the best definition I have ever heard until now, I can say. Really,
Thank you.
because I think the problem also starts a bit there, no? Like you are putting yourself outside of the situation and you are putting sustainability as an issue that it should be taken care for longing the time of Earth for the future. I mean, it's not about this. We are part of it. I like this definition so much. And I also see that it's a really good part of your ID, your identity. And you spoke about values before, like keeping your values while you walk on this road, because life is a road, you said. Um, it comes to my mind a question that happens a lot, and I'm guessing the answer, but I want to ask anyway. Mm, have you always been able to practice architecture that it was aligned with your values?
No, definitely not. Because like before I mentioned that for me success is being able to adapt to the conditions as well. And I didn't find myself always in the condition to say no to any other occasion and only to work on a sustainable architecture studio or that kind of project. I had times in which there were other occasions and that they were the only occasions. So I needed to work there, but they still contributed in my experience. So they have been quite important to build my career. But in the meantime, I didn't stop thinking about sustainability.
Mm-hmm. And the second question comes to my mind. I think it's good for young people to understand it. The life is not always aligned to our values, and we need to adapt them. But how did you stay motivated during those times?
So first of all, I had to stay motivated uh, because doing only that kind of job and not practicing my ideals or doing jobs that are not perfectly aligned with my ideals is, if you think about it, it's quite depressing because I needed to work also on the ideal side to feel complete. Um, that's one of my values. It might not be the same for everybody, and that's okay. In my case, in this case, in these situations, I concentrated a lot on still continuing to study on sustainable architecture. So it's when I decided to take courses for different kind of certifications. It's when I decided to do the second master's degree. It's when I decided to become a lead AP, lead accredited professional. And doing this, I was able to move forward. And other than studying, in that period, of my master's, I also had the occasion of participating in a, again, European funded project, summer school, which lasted 5 months, 5 weeks, sorry. And that summer school was about entrepreneurship for climate change. And it's been a very crucial moment for me as well, because um, during that summer school, I was able to meet with the people who had similar values as I do. And it's the moment in which I felt that okay, there are people sensitive to sustainability as me, and I'm not the only one. And after that point, wait, sorry, this, after this summer school, I went back to reality in which I always felt lonely and not understood. But having discovered that there are people like me, it pushed me to search for them. I had a click in my mind. I said, okay, these people exist. I just need to find them. So that's how, in the end, I founded my NGO Ambimente.
Mm-hmm. So you are saying that solidarity, actually.
Exactly.
let's say, kept you motivated, finding people like you that the same, working for the same values, and doing something together, creating something together. Maybe you use the metaphor of road for the life, like walking together, it helped, no? So it's important to create solidarity in whichever condition you are. And
Exactly.
you
And
talked about ambiment.
mhm.
Yes, sorry, please, please.
So yes, let me just tell you a bit about how it all happened. Um, so after that, I decided that I needed to find these people, and I understood that I needed to be the change I want to see in the world. I just I said, okay, what do I do? I invented this name, Ambimente, which is in English, it's environment. Um, I made a logo, I created a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and I thought about, okay, let's organize an event to which I can invite people. I chose an environment related subject, and I started to invite people. I even prepared invitation letters with my signature and started to send out to people. And to that event, the people on the left is from that meeting. To that event,
I
not
know.
many people, but like, yes, 8, 10 people arrived. And it was 2018, and we are still the same group. So we stayed together. We we started to build Ambimente through every one of us, our visions. We worked with post-its. We defined what are the values of Ambimente, what are our values that we want to realize in Ambimente. What can we offer? What activities can we do? So after going through that process, we started to step by step creating small events from, I don't know, collecting trash in the middle of nature, because we also had um, scientists in our group who could tell us about the different types of plants, what are their names, what are their characteristics. And apart from that, we did some cineforum events and so on. And one event that became kind of our most important event for Ambimenta was the zero waste shopping, in which we got together. We went to the farmers market both together with our bags, with our containers, and we did zero waste shopping, because in that moment, maybe like if you want to do it by yourself, you can feel shy. You don't know how people would look at you, how they could respond to you. But if you're as a group, uh, you don't need to be scared of being judged or
So
anything.
it's also a refer to how you define yourself at the beginning.
Exactly.
A bit introvert, but not about sustainability, because you
Yes.
people that you can trust around you.
Yes.
And this is
Exactly.
also how we met. Actually, I met you with
Yes.
Ambente.
Yes.
So, what I want to hear, I know that with Ambimente you created Ambimap, and I want to add that Ambimente is an NGO that is based on Treviso, Italy. So if anyone curious, please go on the social media page, and you can get in touch also with people. It's a non-profit organization that we also try to collaborate locally as sites. And I want to ask you, of course, Ambimap, because it has 2 awards. And what is it? And how did you develop this?
So after that, we started to do these events of zero waste shopping. We directly with these activities, we started to map the shops in which you could be doing zero waste shopping, or that they had sustainable products. So we started to create a map in which we initially put these stores, but then we said, okay, why not just also indicate the water fountains from where you can fill your bottle? And then we started to add bike sharing, we started to add electrical vehicle charging stations and so on. So in the end, we created this map that is more like a guide to sustainable lifestyle. And we launched it with during the European Week of Waste Reduction. And with this activity and with our map, first we got the national award from the Italian Environmental Ministry. And then we got the European award as the best activity. And it was given by the European Commission and European Parliament. So it's been quite exciting. And in the same year, Italy got 2 awards. One was from Ambimente and the other one was from Slow Food. So it's been very exciting.
So there were 2 awards given to Italy and one of you was yours.
Yes.
How it felt?
It felt quite exciting and satisfying because we really cared about this web app, and it took very long hours because personally I wrote the web, like I designed the web page, I worked on the coding, and I'm not an engineer. I just Googled how to and spent hours and hours working on it because when you are an NGO, you do not have the money. So I invested from my time, my your Ambimente friends worked on the mapping and everything. So it's been quite satisfying seeing results.
You learned coding by yourself for doing this job?
Yes.
Wow.
So when there's a big motivation, anything can be done.
It's quite inspiring, yes. And when you are speaking, like it's really big part of your life. And also, I know that you worked as an architect. You still worked as an architect, and it's a demanding job. It takes long hours. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of things. How did you stay motivated working full time and doing all these things?
It's a very complex question. I mean, the answer is quite complex. Probably, so about the sensitivity towards environment, I saw a very dark future at that moment. And with all the things I was reading, I was learning, I was discovering each day. And to be honest, I didn't want to have the responsibility on my shoulders. I want to do something, do whatever I can do as Başak, as my single self, to not contribute, but to improve the, not to contribute the degradation of the world, but to contributing to healing it, let's say. So I had to do something, and that's what kept me motivated, to not feel any guilt in the future, to not have done anything to stop it, say. So which means that what motivated me is my values, my how much how much I'm an idealist, and also my self-respect.
So actually, you are defining a lot of your values right now. That like idealist, I cannot stay doing nothing when I see very dark future. And you spoke about self-respect, and it really took my attention because we use a lot this word self-respect in also in terms of coaching. And again, I'm curious about your definition. What do you mean by self-respect?
So regarding this, I want to read a very short poem that I wrote when I was in high school. I will first read it in Turkish and then read the English translation because who knows Turkish? It sounds nicer. Aydınlıkta değeri yoktur mum ışığının, karanlıkta olduğu kadar. Barışta değeri yoktur gülüşün, savaşta olduğu kadar. Ve değeri yoktur hiçbir şeyin, değeri anlaşılıncaya kadar. The candlelight doesn't have a value in daylight as much as it has in the dark. The smile doesn't have a value during peace as much as it has during war. And nothing has a value until its value is understood. So this is related to self-respect, because self-respect is kind of the value that we give to ourselves. And the value of the same thing can change based on the context, time, place, conditions, like the smile has more meaning during war than in peace. And everything is worthless as long as we don't give value to that thing. And that's the same thing for ourselves. Right conditions will bring the real value out. So we just need to create the right conditions and be the change we want to see in the world and in ourselves.
So the message is be the change you want to see in the world. Be
and
the
in
change.
yourself.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for this wonderful poem also. That I mean, you are also an artist, so you also found ways. Art is a way to express yourself during the journey, reflect on what you do, who you are, and I see that from your childhood, the art was coming with you. So maybe it helped also to stay on the way, to stay on the road that you like to walk, no?
Yes.
And finally, the another key milestone that finally what you want to do and what you were doing, it combined. Because your current work that you are doing now, you are working as sustainable. Can you repeat for me?
I'm
Sustainable.
working in a hotel project, which will be a LEED Silver certified building project. So and the operator of the hotel is depends mainly on sustainable operations. Like it's plastic free. We are choosing healthy materials in the buildings. We are trying to have a lower impact of carbon emissions, of energy consumption, water usage. So this is the moment kind of where my past and my ideals meet together. Because when I was talking about, I haven't always found the job that was directly aligned with my ideal side. I was mentioning the other hospitality projects. So I had that work experience throughout these years, but in the meantime, I followed an educational path, and this is the moment in which they met. I got this job because I have experience in both.
So you nurtured yourself with your passion, you improved yourself with knowledge, skills, competences without expecting they would end up as a job or something, but somehow it became your job. Can we
Yes,
put
I mean, of course, I always hoped for that, but nobody never assured me that it would happen. And happily, it has happened. So this is a great example of why you should never quit, and you should always try to keep yourself motivated, because as long as you invest on the things in which you find value, they will be useful in the future somehow.
Yeah, it's a very good advice actually. Somehow they are going to be useful. And mm, if Başak, that someone listening us or watching us later on social media, if a 15-year-old ask you, why should I care about design? Because I mean, we are speaking about architecture, how we are going to build our lives as an architecture, and what would be your answer?
I mean, if you want to live your life as you want it, then you need to know how to design. Because otherwise you will always need to live based on what the others impose on you. I don't know, this pencil is designed by someone, and I'm using this pencil because and I'm writing with what someone else has designed. If I have a different vision of this pencil, then I can design it, and I will always write with the pencil that I designed and that I envisioned. So design is the way to progress forward. It's a tool for change. So if you want to live a life as you wish to live, then you need to know how to design. And design doesn't only mean to draw on a paper. It's thinking about the vision and thinking about the strategy that brings you to that vision. Design can be also for a business. You can design a business model.
Actually, you are speaking about designing your life as you want, and
Exactly.
we need to know the simple principles of design, so we can use these tools to create our future, maybe.
Exactly.
Okay. And I want to understand that we spoke about sustainable architecture. Let's put it like this now. Sustainable architecture. This is what you do, this is what you contribute, and this is what you promote also with your organization. And architecture also doesn't mean only the buildings, no? Designing the buildings, designing the iconic shapes, or designing just for making the life simpler. Design is, or architecture is, much more wider than this. So basically we are living in it. We are living in cities that they are designed. We are living in houses, workplaces that they are designed. So it's important to be aware. Correct? May I understand this from your speech?
Definitely.
And I'm a bit curious about the, you know that with the artificial intelligence and everything, they are speaking about the jobs are going to change in the future. And also, if the job is not changing, the context of the job is going to change. What I wonder, when you think about sustainable architecture, which emerging skills, it can be technical or human skills, will be essential, like let's put 5 years from now on?
So you mentioned artificial intelligence. Definitely learning how to use it will be crucial, because it's a reality and we cannot run away from it. We will need to learn how to use it to improve the processes. But apart from that, I think one crucial skill is systems thinking, because both sustainability and architecture are complex things that can be designed or developed in a web of interconnected disciplines, factors, contexts, conditions. So it's very important for sustainability to think about the big picture and not to concentrate on one small detail. Because if we cannot think about the rest of the system, then something that we do with good intentions could be causing a problem in the other side of the system. And that's the same for architecture. Systems thinking in this case translated into architecture can be defined as integrative design, which is including all the disciplines that take part in a project. So architects, MEP designers, lighting designers, energy consultants, sustainability consultants, landscape architects, in the case of stakeholders, so if it's a neighborhood, if it's a school building, and so on, everybody participating in the design process from the very beginning of the project. In this case, there's the possibility of having all the information in the beginning and throughout the project and not leaving anything behind and not without risking to not find any space for that discipline or for that stakeholder in the project. So it's also a part of the systems thinking. If we want to, everything is becoming always more complex. In the case of sustainability, we are always having more impact on the world. In the case of architecture, there are always new technologies, everything is the new energy efficient buildings are much more complex than the buildings that were 200 years ago. So it's this capacity of having systems thinking is very crucial from my point of view. And apart from that, of course, being team players, because if we need to think in develop this systems thinking approach and work in integrated design, we cannot be one role that dictate to everyone. We need to know how to listen to, we need to understand, try to understand the other disciplines, not learn doing that job, but to understand what that part of project, how it relates to my part of the project, and how they can match together.
It's like interdiscipline.
Exactly. So it's also being a team player. Apart from that, other skills in the sense of sustainability and architecture, definitely health, well-being in the buildings, because we are 90% of the time that we spend are inside the buildings. So they have a very important impact on who we are, how we feel, how our health is. If we are in a bad environment, if there's a bad air quality, if the space that we spend our life is very sad, let's say it doesn't have any biophilic elements, which are elements that are similar to nature, so that we kind of feel like we are in nature and we feel more relaxed, we feel less stressed out. So all these knowledge and practices are very important.
So our instinct to put some plants in the houses, it comes from there, maybe, no? Like having
exactly, yes.
Touch. And Başak, we have a question came from Yorgos. And I'm going to give you a bit of background of Yorgos for the question. That Yorgos is working in civil protection. So he is really into climate crisis that we are living now, because he's handling this as firsthand. Like there are fires, there are floods, and he's the person who is taking care of the situation. So he has this question. When we talk about sustainability, do we consider also resilience as important for architecture? Does climate crisis affect architecture and sustainability?
Definitely, that's the part of adaptation, because initially the first goal is to, of course, try to change the path and convert the climate change, let's say, to stop the climate change. But since we know that it's not possible and we're already living the results of that, the other very important thing is adaptation. So considering that this will happen, so we need to consider these conditions that are changing and will continue to change even more drastically. So we need to plan our cities based on that. We need to build our buildings based on that. We need to create an infrastructure based on this knowledge. So resilience is very important.
Resilience, like resilience of the buildings, the places, but also like as a human competence, it's important on this case, no?
It's most important of all.
Yeah, because you said.
But like, if the cities and the buildings are resilient, then maybe we can be less resilient. If they are
Okay.
not resilient, we will need to be very resilient.
Okay, yeah, this towards the climate crisis, maybe if the buildings are resilient, yes, we don't have to think a lot about this, but it's also an important competence for all. So if there are other questions, please also write. And I have another question for you, and that maybe I guess the answer again, but as I understood, you studied a lot in your life. From childhood to young times, then master, then these trainings. Uh, Even you talked about you learned coding, you are in very intense learning process. And now we said that you also arrived in a point you are doing kind of your ideal job, dream job. And I wonder, do you still study?
Yes, I do. I'm now following a master class on regenerative architecture, done by Living Future Europe. It's about regenerative design. So my definition of sustainability is a bit on the regenerative side of things, which is, if you think of a graph like this, let's say like this, this section, the triangle underneath, is the conventional buildings or conventional lifestyle. The joint, the point here, is sustainability. So we are not consuming, but we are not giving either. It's like in balance. But considering that today our world is beyond the limits, we cannot talk about being sustainable. I mean, even if we start to be exactly in balance now, we are still on the negative side. So to convert this tendency, we need to be giving more. We need to start healing the world. And it's about regeneration. It becomes from the tissue, like regenerate your skin, regenerating soil, regenerating buildings, which is giving more, like healing, giving more than what you take. So in case of regenerated buildings, we can say that it's a building that produces more energy than it consumes. It doesn't use water. It has a cyclical use of water. It reuses again and again the same water inside the building. So it's quite ambitious, but it's truly beautiful. So I'm studying it.
So you are studying about this now, and it's really
Yes.
interesting actually. So we are beyond like turning back, but we need to do more. We need to give to our world more than we take, so we can make the balance. It's also
Yes.
a bit sad. Now I'm thinking about the European goals of sustainability 2030, and there
I
are
mean, sustainability once was also quite niche. I think it's a good thing that there's the regeneration, so that even though slowly there's a way, we know that there's a way forward, and things can slowly get better and go towards regeneration.
so there's hope still
There is hope.
that
There
we
is
can
hope.
be together. We have another question. Are you thinking that our education system is ready to cope with these issues?
In Turkey or
In
in
Turkey, in
general,
Italy, in Europe?
uh, maybe not that much, even though I don't have a deep knowledge of the education system itself at this moment. But I have this idea that the teachers uh, might be in some advanced ages, especially in Italy. And I know that they might be a bit traditional and not very innovative or future thinking. So it might be a bit difficult for those cases. But um, now there are many ways that someone can educate himself out of the education system. So there are many opportunities. And for example, this Erasmus Plus project is one of them. And we can improve our capacities. We can look forward and build upon our careers, not based only on the education system that the government or the country is offering us. We can create a path of towards the future that we envision and invest in that.
Mhm. So, I mean, not ready right now, but there are initiatives to make it ready, and there are initiatives they are more aware of the situation. But what I read, like young generation after, let's call it Gen Z, they are more aware about environmental issues and they are
Mm-hmm.
taking more initiative. So I guess this is really good. However, the second part of the question of Punar was about how can we encourage youngsters to think about systems and dare to reshape it as future decision makers.
I think the youth needs to understand that they are valuable. So it's about the self-respect and value. If they feel that their opinions are valued, their future is valued, then they will understand that they don't need to depend on the adults or on others to define their lives, but they can be the actors because their thoughts matter as well and their actions matter as well. So I think it starts from the value.
So, and actually, this is what we try to do with InsPower project. We help them to find their values and work towards their values to reach their goals in life. And yes, we are, as Project Assumptions, we are very agree with you that life is not about points, the moments, but it's about a long journey. So
Exactly.
I hope there will be more projects like that one. And I hope that there are many young people, they listen us today, took these messages and maybe they heard for the first time about these things. It's going to catch their attention and they're going to look more into it. And I mean, I share the hope that you have, because I see also a lot patient on this point, that um, they put a lot of effort to make it opposite. So I trust this. I trust the young people on this point. We have other questions. However, before coming to the questions, because one question also I think, and I would like to explore a bit, and I want to ask one question. When you think about that little girl, realize there are other possibilities in life, and what we live is not the only truth that world has. When you think about this little girl, how she's looking up to your adult version.
Probably with amusement, because also the world has changed a lot in the meantime. I grew up in Turkey, so the Turkey that we had that time is quite different from the Turkey, but the world that we find today. Okay, for political aspects as well, but for technology, for innovation, for how people communicate. Like when we were small, there wasn't internet, there wasn't um, uh, social media, there weren't all these opportunities. It was difficult to imagine to be living in another country or studying in different countries. So that's why I'm saying with amusement, because it's difficult for us to imagine what we will find in 20 years from now on. So even if we might have some dreams, the world will be way beyond that dream. So also for that reason, we need to, if we have the capacity of adapting to new conditions, that's where it gets crucial.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have also a question that I wanted to ask you. If we use the architecture as a metaphor also, and if your life were a structure, what foundational elements would it be built upon? Like, it's a parallel question that I have. If you use the architecture as a metaphor about personal development, like having goals, having a vision, how you would line the phases of buildings, the architecture, with the phases of the personal development?
So if we go to that, so in an architectural design, we first start with site analysis, the analysis of the project, the site, which is where is that project located at, the coordinates, the address, the climate zone, the, the habitat, what kind of plants grow on that land or in the neighbor, what kind of biodiversity there is, what's the social texture of that area, what's the culture of the people. So all kinds of analysis. And then there is the project briefing, so understanding what are the needs of this project, what are the areas that we need to have, the functions that we need to have, how they need to be connected to each other. And after all this analysis, then we go to concept design. So the site analysis is the same thing also for us. We first need to understand, starting from our values, to understand what are our core values, what are our, how we want to imagine ourselves in the future, what is joy, what gives us joy in life, what's the person that we want to be in the future. So after this self-discovery of understanding core values, then we can envision our future and understand our purpose in life and so on. So these can be related to concept design, in which we start to create the first layouts, try to understand what kind of style we want to have in the project, some materials that we want to use in that project. And after that, we go to design development, in which that very colorful presentations, sketches go more into technical side. And then we have very detailed drawings, in which also different systems like MEP systems, lighting, everything matched together, are coordinated, and this creates a very strict drawing package, which can be related to goal setting in our lives and planning.
So it's like they're becoming concrete, the ideas.
Exactly. And we after that, we understand our purpose and we have a vision for our life, then we can define what is the goal that we want to reach to and how can we reach it. So regarding the planning aspect. And in architecture, after this design development, we go to construction documentation, which are the drawings that are used to build the building. So everything is completely detailed, understood, like very detailed to the how the tiles will need to be set, what is the different distance between the tiles, will be the gap between the tiles. So we're talking about very detailed drawings and documentation at this stage, which can be translated in our life design into what are the strategies that I want to adopt towards reaching that goal. So I have a goal, I have a generic planning in the previous phase, and then I have a detailed strategy for each of these smaller phases. And I know that I'm committed to that. So actually, the construction documentation and permits and approvals happen usually at the same time, and permits and approvals happen also before construction documentation, which is also in line with the life design. Support and mentorship is always welcome, and even from the self-discovery, vision and purpose, if we have the support and mentorship, so we have specific guidelines, motivation, knowledge transferred to us, then we can prepare everything based on these inputs. The same as in permits, if we know that we can build a three-floor building in that parcel, then we define everything based on that. And after the commitment and strategy, together with the support and mentorship, we go to action. We take the first step, which can be related to construction phase. We start to build our building, and floor by floor, action by action, we build our life. In the meantime, what we always talked about from the beginning of this presentation is regarding adaptation. Also in construction phase, there might be some surprises. So what we drew on the drawings, the very detailed drawing, might not relate to the construction site. Especially, for example, in my project, there is a castle. If it's an existing building, those surprises may be even bigger. So adaptation is a crucial part of all of this. And then in the buildings, after the building is completed, there's the final inspection and the handover phase. which can relate to the reflection and growth. While we live our life during our actions and everything, step by step again, after each floor, to have a reflection moment to understand what are the things that I learned when I built this floor. What were my expectations? What was the reality? What will I use from this knowledge to add upon to the second floor of this building? So with these reflection moments, the growth, so the building will become higher, higher, and higher, and everything will hopefully be as, definitely not as how you planned it initially, but how
satisfying.
you live it. Yes.
Okay, so I really like that the metaphor that we used, it was mm, shared by our participants because they use the architecture as a metaphor a lot, and they already ask the questions that we would answer them. But there is one question taking my attention. If you think your life as an architectural structure, as you are explaining now, which part of this architectural structure would education be?
Hmm. So I think the core values would be the foundation of the building, and the education would be the structure. So the columns and the beams.
Hmm. That they should be really strong.
Strong. Strong or resilient, because I
Yes.
mean, in case of a wooden building, for example, in the case of an earthquake, it's a lighter building and it's more flexible, so it can move, but it will not collapse. In the case of a masonry stone building, it's very rigid, it's heavy, and in the earthquake, it's more probable that it will collapse.
Okay. I also, I mean, it widened my vision on this point. I didn't think about this before, but it's a really good metaphor actually. Like education is the columns.
It's a very nice question.
Yeah, thank you very much for all questions. They are really, really interesting. And another question was asked by Dimitri. Can you share a moment when you truly felt like the architect of your own life? This is the first part of the question.
Hmm. Probably when I took action for Ambimente, and to that first invitation to the event, some people came with enthusiasm and we started to make things. There, I really felt like I was building the life I wanted to have.
So it was done with mentor. It's important to do something for what you believe. It really
Yes,
gives you enthusiasm and motivation, actually.
it's
And
what gives life meaning.
yeah, and what inner values guided you in making that decision? We spoke a bit, but if you want to do a summary.
The being ethical, inner values, uh, love towards the world in general, to the plants, to the animals, to people, to rocks, everything. And being connected to people, so the social factor as well. Creativity, because it's been also a very creative process. And stimulations, having stimulations, being in contact with people that had the same similar values, let's say same target, same objective, then we were able to work together and create something bigger than the sum of its parts. So it was also very, very like it was a great stimulation for me.
Okay, thank you. And if you have other questions, please ask. We have another half an hour approximately. I will continue with my questions. And we spoke a lot about your profession, your passion about environment and sustainability, your educational background and everything. Um, and we said you are writing poems since you're a kid, and you have some also you have a side of, I mean, I'm letting myself to say this, that you are a musician, that also like writing the words, doing the music, playing it, and also singing. And you said that when you were a child, you wanted to be a singer. How are you feeling about this now?
I mean, I'm not really into singing, to be honest. And I never had any education or any lessons, even though I would like to in the next occasion. But I have a deep connection to music, that's for sure. It's been a complicated relationship, because like as I was mentioning, the getting into university in Turkey is quite complex, and apart from the school, students still need to take private lessons and go to other take other courses during the weekends and everything, and it requires lots of studying. Um, before all that started to get into the university, I had a few years of piano lessons. And at that time, I started to compose some songs. But after getting into that very high rhythm of studying and preparing for the university, I had to stop taking those lessons to concentrate on my studies. And then during the university in the architecture field, it's also quite difficult to find some time for other activities because it's also very intense. Uh, Even though also in that period I continued to write some songs, but I didn't take lessons. And um, all of this, when I took lessons, was around 25 years ago, because I'm 40 years old now. And together with this job that I'm working in, I have better working hours, and I'm now able to have some time for the activities that I care about as well. And I started to take piano lessons and composition lessons. So I'm quite excited about it, to be honest. It's the first time I'm taking composition lessons. Of course, the ones that I did before are very, like, they come from the intuition, like from the inspiration that comes from within, without any technicality or any specific knowledge. So for me, it will be very interesting to see how this will evolve now that I'm starting to have also a more technical side to it.
And what is your goal that you have these educations trainings right now?
With the music,
Yes.
I want to see where it brings me to.
There is no specific goal.
No, I'm really curious to see what will happen. So when I was in the high school, I wanted to study music, but for example, at that time, I didn't have the knowledge that I could go and study composition. I always saw music as like becoming a pianist, and from a job perspective in Turkey, it's always quite complicated to go to become a professional musician. So that was kind of the reason, also with the motivation from my parents, that I didn't take that road and took the architecture road. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it brings me to.
Who knows? Maybe it's going to combine again with your profession and music.
We'll see. It might be. I mean, it's a surprising world.
Yeah, also the element of luck, no? When you do things, you never know where they are going to evolve. But I want to come to another point by this question. Of course, by the way, I know that we have also a slide with your music. Maybe you can share it, but what do you think about the role of arts and culture in the sustainability?
Arts and culture. So sustainability, as I was mentioning, is a very complex thing. It's a complexity of systems, of interconnected systems, and we need all the fields to be able to achieve it. And arts speak directly to the hearts of people, and it's a very important tool to make people question things and create awareness. So I think art is a really important aspect to it. For example, inside Ambimente, we also had Ambi Music events.
No, it.
In which we had the projection of the documentary that's called Home, with drone views of the world, with its beauties, but also with the degraded areas. And so with all the projection on the back and on us, we were making music to create awareness of the earth. And my music teacher here in Italy organizes green music festivals. They choose different locations inside nature, so in a forest, in an open air, on haze. They sit on haze and not on chairs, to give a different sensation, to connect music to nature, and to speak to emotions, truly to the emotions of the people. So I think arts is a really important tool towards sustainability, and the more we use it, the better it will get.
So
and arts is a tool to create the culture of sustainability as well.
it's also a way to express your feelings and your thoughts and like give them to other people, share it, no? And also
And
it's a way
to heal eco-anxiety, maybe.
yeah, eco-anxiety. What does it mean, eco-anxiety?
I think that's what I was feeling when I wrote my The Happy World Ceased to Be poem. It's eco-anxiety is being very anxious about the future that is waiting for us, and especially seeing how numb our society is, and how now not acting, not changing, not doing anything, and the way you feel very small because the actions you take, I don't know, becoming a vegetarian or a vegan, or doing zero waste shopping, or buying secondhand clothes, or all these small actions are nothing compared to the very, very big scale things, like extracting oil, VIPs that use their private jets and everything. So these all create eco-anxiety, but I think the best way to be resilient towards eco-anxiety as well is still to have hope and to be connected, be surrounded with the people like us, because that really brings strength, and it gives hope towards the future.
Mm-hmm.
And read good news.
And music can be a good healing method for echoing anxiety. And also, of course, doing some actions. Like being worried is okay. And it's a recognized feeling that we can be all worried. It's important, even small or big, doing an impact.
Yes.
And solidarity, finding people like yourself with the same values that you have and doing together, because as you said, it's not possible to change things maybe just by 1%, but it's possible to have an impact when you come together. And this is actually the soul of ambimenta also, no? And music can be a good tool for this. And I have another question to you that about music. You said, okay, let's see what's going to go. But do you have other visions and projections for the future?
To be honest, not anymore. Not anymore. I kind of am eager to see how things will be changing. Because I want to go to a slide.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. This one. Because I mean, I am now at the moment in which my profession and my ideals are more or less together. So I'm not feeling so much that thing that was missing inside. But of course, up to this point, having ideals, vision, and everything is very important. That's what brought me to this position. From now on, I will be adapting a different approach, which is I want to see what will happen. I want to just enjoy a bit this phase. What I want to show here, on the other hand, is when designing life, when we discussed about the phases of the life, it's usually seems like starting from point A and going to point B, and everything is straightforward and the steps are very clear, and we just have to take that road and it will bring us to that point. And we can call this also as like the expectations. And then when we go to the reality side of life, the life is more like this. There is never a straight line, but that's also the beauty of it. When the road, the path is full of curves, ups and downs, you might have the occasion to recognize a flower, stop, smell it, and then see something else. As we saw in that table, the moments in which we question ourselves. What were my expectations? Did I enjoy it? Is everything going well? What are the things that I learned? When I look at this visual, I see that maybe I learned something and I deviated my road with the knowledge that I learned. And then in the meantime, maybe I discovered that I thought I would be enjoying that thing, but I don't enjoy it as much. So I can also change in the meantime. And it's very normal that we don't follow a straight line and we just go around life and enjoy it.
On this point, there is another thing that I would like to emphasize, and of course, I want to ask you, you don't have to tell exactly what it was, but we are speaking a lot about successes, but you said that now, more or less, you live the life, they are in line with your values and you're satisfied, so you don't have strict goals for the future. However, until you arrive this point, like there were moments you were feeling really unsuccessful, desperate, or oh, it's not going to work, or you tried something but it didn't go well. It didn't go end. Um, I think it's important to also speak about the moments that you are not feeling like that when we speak about personal development, because it happens to everyone. So if you want to say something about this.
So I can talk about after I got graduated in Turkey and came to Italy and obtained my master's in architecture and sustainable architecture. It was 2012, and there were still the effects of the economical crisis in Italy. And I was in a relatively small area. I mean, it's close to Venice, but it's not like Istanbul or Izmir or Milan or Rome or Paris or London. And so considering the time, so the conditions of the economic crisis and considering the context, so the amount of companies, architectural studios there are, it has been quite challenging for me to find my first job. And the one that I found was very, 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 very low paid. And it was even less than an internship I did before, what I was being paid during an internship, and I accepted it. And the night before I started my job, I cried like hell because I felt like all the studies, like studying architecture, doing Erasmus in Italy, studying other things, coming to Italy, studying in Italian, which I wasn't very good at, but I had to study architecture in Italian. So all these challenges, all these difficulties were for what? For this job and for being paid the 1/5 of a person who is working in a shop selling clothes. And that was a really low moment for me. But then I started the next day. So my first day at work, I had big eyes, like puffy eyes, because I cried the night before. But then I really enjoyed the job anyway. And they told me that I'm better than what they thought I would be. So they raised the amount, the salary. But in the meantime, I I saw on the news that an investor bought an island in Venice, a Turkish investor, and I just wrote them an email, and people the others told me, but why are you writing them an email? If they didn't have an architect, they wouldn't buy an island and do a hotel there in Venice. I was like, okay, I'll just try and write. And the next day they called me.
Oh
So
my God. So it's
yes,
about also creating your possibilities constantly, not
yes.
thinking this is your destiny.
I never got a job because I knew someone, because someone knew someone. It always happened through my personal efforts, and I had to create that opportunity.
Mhm.
That's why I was saying I'm an introvert, but I still find myself in situations in which I have to create the change, the challenges, the occasions, the opportunities as an extrovert. So we can be something, but we can also be something else, even though it probably requires more effort and it might be harder for an introvert to be an extrovert than an extrovert to be an extrovert, but we can still be that. I mean, when it's needed.
What you said made me really emotional right now because it's really important. I mean, knowing yourself, your capacity, your competences, but knowing that they can change um, based on the conditions. You can choose what you want to be, no? It is really, really
Exactly.
important competence to be resilient also in this life that is full of change, uncertainty. You can be in some situation, but also you have, of course, there are other elements outside. it's complex situations, but always there is a step to take further.
Exactly. And just remember that our brain is very flexible and it has plasticity, and the synaptic connections that we have are not there for always. They can change. We can change our habits. And as long as we know we have a target and we know who we want to be, we can become that person, not only in career, but also on personal levels.
And I think it was a great last answer. I would like to keep it at up. It is really, really good advice, I think, for not only for young people, but who are feeling the same and who doesn't, I mean, see the opportunity possibilities, but like being sure that we have the capacity to do it. It's done before, so anyone can do it. And Başak, a bit like a fast questioning. I want to ask you some little questions, and I want you to answer without thinking. Okay, we are going to play a game.
Okay.
Okay, so what is your favorite city?
Izmir. It's not very creative, but I'm from Izmir and I miss Izmir, so it's Izmir.
Okay, what tool you like to use a lot?
I think my tablet, I like to draw on it.
Next milestone that you have.
Completing this master class on regenerative design.
And your color for balance.
It's warm white.
Warm white.
Yes, it's a very architecture response from
Yeah. You answered as an architecture. I try to imagine it. Your favorite material.
I love all kind of biomaterials. I could biomaterials. I could hug them all, touch them all. I love biomaterials in general.
Okay. Animal instinct.
Survival, probably.
Okay. Mood reset song.
It might be I Want the World to Stop from Belle and Sebastian.
Good. Noted. Most gifted book.
The Little Prince.
And your grounding habit.
Breathing calmly.
Future energy source.
A mixture of renewable energies, but a mixture because that's how resiliency appears.
Climate action verb.
Act now.
And one word for 2025.
Unexpected.
Dream collaborator.
Might be Mika, the singer, because he's very colorful and positive, and I think I need that in my life. Positivity and lots of colors.
Tech trend.
What? Sorry?
Tech trend that you follow.
Right now I'm kind of trying to be detached from technology.
Okay. So
because I'm overwhelmed with technology. I need to detach a bit.
Okay, it's not trend anymore. Yeah, so your superpower.
The superpower that I would like to have?
As you want, or you have it already.
The one I have it is the little Başak living inside me. I think it's a very important superpower. If I want to have a superpower, it will be teletransportation.
Okay.
So that I can be with anyone I like whenever I want.
Very useful. And your essential travel item?
My headphones.
Top sustainability metric.
I mean, it might be life cycle assessment, but it still doesn't include all the social or other aspects. I might say maybe ESG.
Maybe you
But
can
I
share
want to
with us.
imagine something that will be invented that will address much more complex things.
Okay, hopefully. But if you can share with us, then we can also put in YouTube. So who are interested, they can check.
Yeah.
Morning beverage.
First water, then coffee.
Okay. And legacy word.
Hmm. I don't know.
If you would know.
To improve.
Improve. Very nice.
Improve. Yeah.
Planet to visit.
Might be any of those Earth-like planets that they find each day. One of those, doesn't matter which one.
Okay. So thank you very much, Başak. And one came from Yorgos. Personal motto.
I think it's always that. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also, we couldn't catch, but if she is going to watch, Jody wrote something, then we are going to share with you. Maybe you want to be in contact. And thank you all for your patience. You are being here still, you are listening, and you made it much more valuable what we want to do here with your questions, with your attention, with your participation. And I want to thank from my heart to Başak and to be here. And I would like to close actually. If there is no other questions, I would like to speak a bit more that we just skipped that part. Your music, we said that you're a musician, you have songs, and maybe who are interested, um, they would like to know which songs you have. You can follow also Başak's social media. She has a Facebook and Instagram maybe, but you share your music in Facebook more. And we can share with you the links of the songs that she has. And Başak, you want to say something as last words?
First of all, thank you very much. It's been very, very nice. I really enjoyed these 2 hours, and the questions were very interesting. So thank you everybody who made these questions. I think they really completed the session. What I want to say is make your own rules, know what you want, decide about the life you want to live, and work for it. Don't leave the matters to the hands of the others. If you see someone else's trash, you can also pick it up, because it's not that someone else's trash anymore, it's the trash of the entire world, the earth. And it's the same thing, the same action is valid for your life. Take the things in your own hands.
Thank you very much. So,
Thank you.
I mean, both we can take it metaphorically and also directly. So thank you for this advice. And we would like to close with one of Başak's song.
And enjoy.